Mr. Iqbal Surve, he's the chairman of the Brics Business Council, a key part of this conference here. Of the agreements that were signed today, what are the ones that are likely to impact most on business?
Look, I think all of them will impact because they will lead to more harmonization of both trade and investment into the BRICS countries themselves. So insofar as intra-BRICS trade and inter-BRICS investment is concerned, I think the government-to-government agreements will be able to facilitate that. But bearing in mind there were also other business agreements which were signed previously, and those MOUs will also impact. But for us, the key recommendations are the ones that the Business Council has made in order to ease restrictions between the BRICS countries.
And just if I'm a businessman sitting out there and say, whatever, Germiston or whatever, how could it affect my life?
I think one of the critical ones is we've asked the governments to consider visa-free travel for businesses between the BRICS countries. That's the first thing. Secondly, we've asked for investment into South Africa. And these investments are aimed at supporting both the larger businesses as well as the medium to smaller size businesses. Ultimately, the whole idea of all of this is to have investment, grow our economy, reindustrialize our economy, and create jobs for everyone and opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Is it enough though? That's the question I have. I mean, earlier this week I interviewed the Small Business Institute who were complaining that there was too much red tape, there wasn't enough support for entrepreneurs and small businesses here in South Africa, and most of them were failing.
Well, I think, look, our role is to facilitate the business-to-business interaction, and in some instances to facilitate the business-to-government interaction. And, you know, where we identify the barriers, we of course work closely with government. We're very much aligned. There are 9 working groups that work very well: agribusiness, manufacturing, infrastructure, financial services, green economy, energy, deregulation, digital working economy, aviation. So in each of these areas, the idea is to harmonize business practices and to create better efficiencies for businesses to work together. So ultimately, I think there's a lot more opportunity than there are issues. And I think we should look at the opportunity. It's great that South Africa is participating in BRICS. It's great for our businesses. We as South Africans and Africans have to make the best out of it.
And what about some of this investment that's coming in? I mean, an issue that was cited on this very channel only this morning was people talked about the Eskom loan, and they said the Eskom loan only came in because of government guarantees, and it was a clear sign that the Chinese are here for business. They're not here for maybe helping us out. What do you say to that?
Look, I don't want to comment specifically on the Eskom loan, but I think a general principle, it's very unfair to point out such an issue when in fact the US itself is the recipient of major Chinese buying of government bonds. No one complains when the Chinese buy government bonds in the US or in Europe or anywhere else. You know, the fact of the matter is that the capital markets are global. I believe that state-owned institutions borrow from different groupings in the world. Why should they not borrow from the Chinese? And I think to nitpick on something like that really shows that people haven't quite grasped the opportunity in BRICS. You know, part of the challenge for us as South Africans is that we need to start focusing on the positives, the huge positives that have emerged out of BRICS, rather than a few areas of potential concern. I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned about anything, but the point is, you know, there's so much good going on in the last couple of days, so much benefits to our economy, to our president's drive for investment. Why should we not congratulate the president and the government for having achieved this investment into our economy? Why do we want to be so critical about a minute issue? Do we ever ask, other institutions to explain their banking terms and, loan terms? I don't think it's necessary. It's not really the spirit of trying to have intra-BRICS cooperation. Certainly South Africa right now, I mean, we heard from the CEO of Eskom. So Eskom needs capital, and I think we should accept that it's great that the Chinese have offered it. In the same way, if tomorrow the European Central Bank decides to offer us capital for Eskom, why, and they'll put their terms to it. I mean, why shouldn't we take it?
Absolutely.